for Donny.
Group apartment for Donny.
Go for Donny.
Wardrobe for Donny.
Go for Donny.
Konrad for Donny. Go for Donny.
Go for Donny.
Go for Donny.
Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, we have Konrad Begg and Jay Kennedy, both from Top Gear UK. So they're across the pond. Hey guys, how you doing?
Good, Donny. How's it going?
I mean, it is great. It is really good. It's a great day because both you guys are on the podcast, and I know I've been hounding you guys for some weeks now. I think I was routing Jay, to round you up, Konrad, and it worked. So I can't thank you guys enough. So welcome to Go for Donny, where we talk about stupid shenanigans, gentlemen.
Stoked to do it. I watched a couple, and yeah, it's great to see some familiar faces, and yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thanks. Hey, guys, don't forget to stay tuned for Switchy Channel 2 after this, where we're going to get a chance to ask these guys a few random questions and get to know them a little better to see what they've been doing and where they're going next. But the way that we know each other is clearly everyone from the show knows that I worked on Top Gear US. I almost said UK. Top Gear UK. I'm so used to Dan always saying that. In the UK. And these two lovely gentlemen worked on Top Gear UK proper. Konrad, you directed just a few episodes in a few years. That's correct?
Yeah, I think I did 30 odd, 35, something like that, but 35 films. But I kind of, in what they say is a kind of golden era, so sort of 2010, 2011, 2012, and then I came back again to the UK one 2015, and then came back just on the last version for a couple of films in 2022. But then obviously I did Top Gear US 2013, 2014, something like that. We did it must have been 5 or 6 films. Quite a few in the US, and then we did Nürburgring in Germany, which was
that's when the crew came over.
Awesome shoot. We had great cars and yeah. And I don't know. I think Jay, you were with me on most of those, right?
Yeah, I remember certainly. Remember being in Germany with you doing the Top Gear US version. We had that long running joke, didn't we? We were just going to jump on a barge and head to Bruges and go on a sort of all day drinking session. Whenever time got tough, we were like, Bruges? Yeah, we had to Bruges.
Sounds about right. Yeah. You did. I'm sure you were in the Grand Canyon as well when we did the Arizona, SUV thing.
Ooh.
I'm sure you did that.
Yeah.
Was that a US version or UK? He came over.
Yeah. No, that was US. Yeah.
Okay, with the boys. Okay.
Yeah. We went cross Arizona without touching proper roads.
Oh,
so
yeah. We did something similar. Coming through Death Valley, early on.
Yeah, and then at the end we drove into a C-130 and flew off. Yeah, it was great. It was really, really fun shoot.
Was that your first time to the Grand Canyon?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I did. We did the recce, and I was just I was blown away. I was like, this place is fucking amazing. That way where you kind of go, you go out in a recce, and you're like, oh, maybe that'll work, and that looks a bit shit, and we have to go. It was just like, fucking hell, we can shoot anywhere. this, just fucking point the cameras there, and we'll drive the vehicles there. So yeah,
it's beautiful. My first time a couple years ago, I did a pilot out there, and we drove side-bys. Each crew had side-bys, and I had a camera op and AC in mine, and I failed to tell them that I could drive. And, so we drove from St. George to the West Rim, North Rim, wherever we were. And it's just so much fun getting there, just fucking off in dirt. And then I'll never forget the reveal that I had for my personal self as we were driving, to find our little camp. And you come over through these bushes, and all of a sudden it just kind of reveals itself. And I was just like, holy shit balls. That is just it's massive, and it just
it's really unexpected, isn't it? Because it's like you say, when it reveals itself, you're like, fuck. And because we've been up in these kind of weird really sort of black sort of hills in these 4x4s, and we're kind of traversing along those, and then we just came over the lip of one of those, and it just sort of opened out in front of us. It was fucking incredible. But it was such a fun recce because we had this sort of 4x4 guide with us from Sedona, I think. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Sedona. And we were in these sort of fully prepped sort of Wranglers, Jeep Wranglers, and it was an awesome recce. So yeah, that shoot, we went pretty much, I think, across the state. We were sort of up in Flagstaff, and then Sedona, and then down in Phoenix at the airfield, which fucking C-130, the pilot, I think. I mean, I don't want to say his exact age, but he was like at least 70. He looked
Really?
at least 70. And we pitched up, and the idea was that we couldn't put all of the 4x4s in the back of the C-130 because the thing wouldn't take off with all four in it. But we could drive along behind it, and we could drive a couple in, and then they would brake and stop and let them get off. So we were like, well, we've got to do like 40 knots, to make it look good and sort of health and safety. We're like, no, it's 15 or 20 knots, and we were
Boring.
like, that's just going to look shit. The cars are going to be like so slow. And this old guy just came over to me and he just went, what speed do you want to go? And I was like, 40, 50 knots. He's like, yeah, just ignore them. We'll be totally fine. So off we went. We did the sequence, and that was all great. We got all the shots with the cars behind it and going in and everything. And they're like, right, cool, final shot. Let's just, let's get the thing taking off. The conceit being that, the fucking trucks are in the plane and off they go. And so it comes trundling down the airfield, about to take off. I think we've got 2 cameras on it. And then fucking brakes go on, massive amount of smoke. And the pilot goes, one of the engines totally failed. And we had to just bail out at the last minute and stop. And we were like, so if that happens and we had one of the cars in the back of the plane, what would happen? And the old guy was like, well, we'd have been fucked. We'd have crashed. So we were like, Jesus Christ.
Wow.
That's good. That's good news that we didn't put anything in the back of it. But it was an awesome sequence. It really, it's one of those things where, it just came together really well. But the old guy really saved it. I mean, he was like proper sort of, I think he was a Vietnam veteran, and he was like just the guy had been around the block, and he was just like, what speed do you want to go? Just ignore these guys.
It was a private. It was he was a private C-130.
Yeah, it was like I think the company who had the aircraft like did sort of charters all over the world for rescue and cargo and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, it wasn't military, but he was an ex-military pilot. But yeah, no, it was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
I assume in your time you guys both have filmed with the military in the UK.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because I'm a veteran, and going back to play Army or playing with the military is so much fun. And we did 2 episodes with the Army, one at Fort Campbell with the 101st, and the other at the National Training Center at Fort Irwin here in California. And oh my God, they're so much fun to film with, and what they give you is just unlimited access, kind of within reason.
Yeah, and I think certainly in the UK, Top Gear and the MOD had a pretty good relationship, and so I think one of the last shoots that I did actually on Top Gear was at a military airfield, and we were using helicopters basically to tow behind trucks, and we sort of film crews are like they're probably the last people that you want around military people, because they're kind of and then let's go over there now and get this shot, and sort of, you expect them to be like, oh, but they're so accommodating, and they just they put up with so much because like you guys know, we can be a very random bunch and change our minds at the last minute and demand more than was promised, and all of that sort of thing.
I think the relationship that you do have, obviously, like you're saying, you do many shoots with the military over the years. I remember we were doing a shoot with Ken Block, and I think it was out near Edwards Air Force Base out in California, isn't it? And they had some British RAF there, and they were just doing some training out there. And we were in the bar at the hotel at the end of the shoot day, and we still had a couple more shoot days to do. And we just got chatting, what are you guys doing here? What are you doing here? And we got chatting. we were like, oh, we're going to be filming around tomorrow. And they were like, well, we can come in and do a flyby if you like. And we're like, well, what have you got? And they're like, well, we've got a Hercules. So should we say midday? We call it midday? And they literally, there they were. And we sort of spotted them at sort of, 11:45. Oh, there they are. And they just flew past us. We had no radio comms. And they just flew past. They were like, oh, they're coming around again. Right, let's line up to again. And so the Hercules went one way as Ken Block went and did a jump the other way. And then they just basically timed it like that. Beautifully. I mean, it was just one of those things. Like, that's why you go to the bar, right? All good ideas happen in the pub. And
yeah, that's where you make your best friends.
Yeah, mates.
That's an iconic sort of Top Gear image. That one. It was on in the in the pre-titles, wasn't it? In the start of the show. Yeah, I didn't realize that Hercules was just.
It was one of those, and they were like, well, we could go official channels, and they were like, it won't work. We're just going to have to. They'll cut us off. They won't allow us to do it. So we're just going to have to. By coincidence, you were jumping as we were flying over. So yeah, they did it. I think they did it like 4 or 5 times. They did 4 or 5 loops for us to get it, and then they just flew off. We were like, all right, that's that. Then we got it. So yeah, it was a good moment from the BBC and the military.
That is so awesome. And you got to work with Ken Block. I mean, legend.
Yeah, I mean, we've done a couple of things with him because I did 2 adverts for Ford with him. I don't know, Jay, were you on one of those when we were out in the Ford factory in Germany? And he was racing around. He was racing around inside the factory, and he had just got off, back in his transatlantic flight. So as soon as he got in the car, it's a fucking amazing car. It's a new Ford RS, and between takes, he would just go, fall asleep against the wheel, and they'd be like, Ken, you ready? He's like, oh, yeah, ready to go. And then off he'd go and do it. And then as soon as he did one sort of like fucking incredible kind of maneuver around really, really expensive stuff in the factory, like crazy robots and things, fucking scoosh around this, there'd be smoke everywhere. He'd stop and they'd be like, sort of straight out, just grabbing every little moment of sleep he possibly could.
With precision, with precision.
Oh, yeah. No, he was really, really fun to work with, and pretty talented guy, I have to say.
We've worked with him a few times, but like Tanner, Faust, same thing. I mean, those guys are just what they can do with cars and in the small, tightest areas where they're just turning on a dime. Gymkhana, back to Ken Block, what he did with that, was it an Audi, that all-electric Audi that he ripped through Las Vegas, came into the front door of the Planet Hollywood, literally did a couple of 360s and then right back out. I mean, just amazing what they can do with these vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, I love all those Gymkhana. I love the ethos behind it as well. Like going into the kind of free sports world, just put the cameras down and let like you would with the snowboard or the skateboard or whatever. That attitude of filming was really, really cool and really different and sort of fresh. So yeah, I mean, we tried to do a kind of Gymkhana-esque thing with him for that Ford spot in Cologne, and what you come to understand with them is that they would spend so much time on those Gymkhana films just getting exactly the right line with the car, not to do with the camera, but to do with the line that the car took, and you can really see that in the end product. And you're just like, I mean, some of those just blew me away, I have to say.
I mean, it's talent, and it really humbles you when you get behind the wheel and you think, oh, yeah, I can do this. You can do something simple, and you can't even pull off the simplest task. You're like, fuck. So
I mean, that's what's cool about it. Coming from the UK actually to the US was, Tanner was like legitimately phenomenal driver, whereas in the UK they were legitimately not great drivers, but very, very amusing. But yeah, Tanner was, even at Nürburgring, I mean, he, I don't know how many times he'd been there before, but fucking hell, he was quick straight away. Yeah. So yeah, it was really impressive.
It's just fun. Like when we would be in the tracking vehicle, and I remember going up over the Eisenhower Tunnel, and there was, he had a Bentley. We were doing the Bentley up Copper Mountain snowboard, or down, racing a snowboard down. And so we're doing some driving shots, and he's like, hey, Donnie, you mind if I just, cut loose on the shoulder here, just kind of feel it out? And it was a really wide shoulder, a few hundred feet. and fresh blanket of powder. I'm like, yeah, man. I mean, we got time. And so you just watch him in the mirror, just, rooster tailing this snow around on the, right next to his shoulder in the drops, kind of far, and just a precision. And I'm just like, I don't think I could do that. I mean,
No.
I'd be like, no.
I mean, he did in one of the films. I think it might have been the Arizona film, actually, in Flagstaff. He drove down like a ski run in a LR, a Land Rover. We call them a Discovery. I think you guys call them LR4, and that's a sort of heavy, unwieldy kind of, not good, sliding. And he just fucking made it look so slick down the ski slope. I think we only did it twice. I think we only had to do it twice, and it looked
yeah, because he nails it.
It looked awesome. Yeah, he just nailed it. It just looked great.
It was funny, even with that Bentley. Like he was like, we had a cat to tow him back up the hill, and he was just like, no, I think I can get back up it. And sure as shit, man, you just turn around and scoot right back up it with no assistance needed. So, good on him. But that's how we learned. See, I don't know how it doesn't snow that much. Well, it snows in Scotland, right? Not much.
Yeah, but I'm in southwest England. Yeah, I mean, in Scotland, yeah, it used to snow a lot when I was a kid. But down where I live now, there's no snow.
To my point, Scotland, where you grew up, and that's what I'm trying to get. I grew up in Washington. We learned how to drive like a jackal in the snow. You learned what your car could do and what your car couldn't do. So I think it made you a little bit better. Well, I should say that, but it doesn't make everyone a better driver. Some people, it makes a little bit better of a driver because you get to understand, physics in your car and weight transfer.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Actually, you do. It does have a big bearing on it. I remember Tanner saying that he learned properly to drive in Crown Vics. That was his sort of, the thing that teaches you, how to, throw a car around. But yeah, I mean, I think when I was growing up as well, just not having enough money to buy new tires. So you'd have like virtually bald tires, and that would really teach you about grip and how to drive in the wet. But yeah.
What compound were they?
I don't have a clue. I mean, all I know is that when I got rid of some of them, you could see metal through the tire. So they must have been.
Oh shit!
Been that good. Yeah,
still great. That's funny, Jay. So I have fond memories. So what is cool? What I think was cool is except for you, Konrad, I've gotten to work with a handful of crew from your guys' show, a little crossover, and it's great because you get to see how they work. And it started with Dan Peacock DeCastro when he came over, and just seeing how how you guys do things differently and how well we work together. So it was really fun getting to work with Jay on that Shell great travel hack when we traveled across the U.S. from Malibu to New York, stopping along the way, having some fun.
Yeah, that was one of those. That was I don't know if you've done that trip very often, but from someone from the UK to do that trip from coast to coast in America was a special offer. So yeah, that was an exciting trip actually, wasn't it? And yeah, that was good fun. And I remember going out with Dan. Actually, we were in LA, and it was after Matt LeBlanc had just done some filming over here, some Top Gear UK, and so we phoned him up and went over to Matt LeBlanc's place. Had the biggest pizza I've ever eaten actually that he ordered, which was amazing. And I remember going around. He was like, "Oh, let me show you around the garages." So he had a few garages sort of dotted around his home in his home in LA. And he gave us a beer as soon as we went in. We're like, "Oh, cheers, Matt. How's it been going?" A little catch up. We're sort of walking around like, "Matt, I'm out of a beer." He's like, "Oh, don't worry, Jay, don't worry." He literally turns around, and in the corner of the room, there's another fridge full of beer. And every single garage he went to, it seemed like every single room in his house had a fridge full of beer. And that was the like, I was like, "Matt, you truly are a legend."
That's the dream right there, yeah. Wait.
Stop! I wasn't on that.
But what kind of cerveza was it though? Was it
I can't
all time? Okay.
PBR.
Oh.
It was cold.
I'm joking.
The fighting men's, Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny you say that, Konrad, because our mutual friend Rupert, when he came over, he loved that shitty lager.
Yeah, me too. I like the shitty lager. It works for me because I remember the first time I was over, like someone going to me, "Hey, if you guys heard of craft beers?" It's like, yeah, we've fucking had them for about 400 years, mate. I don't want to drink that stuff. I'll have a working man's beer, but But going back to what you were saying about the road trip thing, I did what I thought was going to be a very good trip and a really good idea, but turned out to be a really bad idea. So we shot in the Olympic Peninsula up in Washington State with I think we're doing big rigs with so it was all three presenters. It's quite a hard shoot, you know. It was kind of raining a lot, but again, just fucking beautiful, you know, beautiful stuff. Anyway, we got to the airport. I think we'd had a few beers the night before. We got to the airport in Seattle, and I don't know what the fuck happened to me. I was in the queue. I just went. I tell you what it was. It was also July. It was Independence weekend. So
crazy.
And I just thought I think I might drive back to LA, and I had to be in the edit. I think on the Monday, and I just thought I can't remember who I said to. Probably Jay actually sound. And they were like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And I kind of had in my head, if I go over to the desk, and it's more than sort of $400, I'm not doing it. But if it's under $400, I'm doing it. So I went over, and they went, "Yeah, it's $200 something." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So I got in the hire car. I was like, "This is fucking awesome. This is going to be great." So just fucking back out onto the Olympic Peninsula, down the coast, stopped the first night, had a couple of beers, and then I suddenly realised it's, you know, it's like fucking 1,800 miles. And so I was like, actually fairly full on. I'm going to have to, there's quite a lot of driving. I've done some LA to San Francisco loads of times, whatever, but, you know, and so the second day I was fucking knackered, and then the air conditioning quit in the car. And I got to San Francisco and it was fucking 30 degrees. So I was driving with the windows open, pouring water on myself. And I think I got back into LA at like, I don't know, 2 a.m, and then had to go into the edit the next day. But what I thought would be, I'd be stopping off and going, "Oh yeah, cool, you know, go and check out this little place in Oregon." I was literally in the car, just like pinned, just watching the miles going down.
That's miserable because you're trying to get somewhere. You're not enjoying the journey. Yeah.
Dude, if it'd been 4 or 5 days, it would have been awesome. Like even 4 days, it would have been awesome. But I was just like, just fucking head down and go. But yeah,
in California as well, you can't, if you want a scenic route, it's going to take you longer. So if you're trying to make up time, you're going on the interstate, which is boring and just, you know, boring.
Exactly that. Because that's what I did the first day. I went, "Oh, wow, you know, Oregon, coastal Oregon, amazing." And then I went, "Fucking hell, I better just hit a proper road and get my foot down." But anyway, Washington State was just, it was awesome. I think we went to Dirtfish as well and did the rally thing up there. And
oh, nice, yeah. It's a fun school. We were there. We filmed there, and then I was just filming up in the Olympic National Forest. There's a bunch of dirt logging roads. That's where they have some rallies. And, oh my gosh, talking about just releasing you, like giving you a Suburban. Actually, I had a truck. It was even better. And you know, they're like, you know, the speed limit's like 10, 15 miles an hour. Look out for logging trucks. I'm like, okay. I mean, ripping around those roads are a lot of fun.
Those logging trucks, when we were shooting, it's like, you know, you just go, "Okay, let's reset." You're like 45 minutes to turn them around, go back around. And I mean, the guys who are driving those as well, I mean, they're on like they were drinking like 12 Monster energy drinks a day. Fucking those guys were wired because they've got season. You know, they've got to work hard in that season. And but yeah, I mean, again, like the military, they were so fucking sort of patient with us. You know, because you can imagine what it's like. "Oh, we need to go back and get that shot of the big rig coming around that corner," and they're like, "Yeah, all right." And then, you know, 45 minutes later, they've sort of turned around and come back. But no, it's cool. It was cool up there. Yeah.
It's a long way back around. Hey, Jay, do you remember? So when we did that travel hack thing, that show, we were in, I know we had a little crossover because I was with your team for a while. We had 2 teams shooting, you and Ben. And I don't know if you were, I don't think you were with us when we were in Pennsylvania. We did this dog sled bit. Where the 2 people that we were filming, they were supposed to get on this dog sled and, you know, take it from point A to point B. The only problem, there was no snow. So the dogs and the sled was on wheels. It was really fucking weird. And so, so we were setting up and they were trying to put a camera, like a 360 camera rig on one of the dogs. And so they were quite a ways behind the tracking vehicle getting set up. And so we had the tracking vehicle, I don't know, a couple hundred feet, a couple hundred yards ahead. And all of a sudden, the harness broke free and the dogs took off running without the cart all together. And it is the funniest fucking thing in the world because we have the video of it. And it's a shot of the dogs coming at us, me and Sean Curtis and a couple people trying to grab them. And it was just so fucking funny. It was so comical. Like trying to do some of the shit we do. You're just trying to make up stuff because you don't have the elements that you need, for that dog sled to actually work. So it was funny. I don't know. Did you guys have anything stupid like that on your end? I mean, we did some stupid shit. I mean, for Shell to do like a eco challenge,
I remember that. Yeah.
Oh, yes, we talked about Konrad. Yeah. So it was like we just stopped along the way, and they would have little challenges, little eco challenges, or have to ride little e-bikes, and I mean, it was fun. But there was a few
because we did that one across the States, and then they did another one here that you wouldn't have been involved in, Donny, where we went from London to Istanbul. So we sort of went from one end of Europe to the other.
Yeah,
so.
I didn't make that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard it was fun though.
Yeah, well, it was good. I mean, yeah, it was good. I tell you, we have a really good team on it again. And like you were saying at the very top of the show, it's the camaraderie you build with your peers, and you're doing this shoot is really good. So we were sort of doing I don't know 4 or 5 days and then a couple of days off. And they'd given us at the top of that show a massive pouch of per diems, basically, for every country that we were going through. So it was about sort of 7 different currencies that we were going through. And so we left London, and then our first stop off was Amsterdam. And we were like, all right, okay, so we got a couple of days off in Amsterdam, and we all opened up our per diems. We were like, we got €700 that isn't ours, and we were in Amsterdam with a couple of days after us. That was a good start to that travel hack.
Yeah. Oh man. See, that's a cool thing I like what you said about camaraderie because, that was the whole point of this show is like we would always get together. My buddies and let me just back up. So most of the crew that I worked with on Top Gear were still really good friends to this day. Like some of my closest friends are from that show. So it's kind of cool how we just stuck together and the camaraderie that we built and the fun that we had because, just like you said, Konrad, you're working a lot. We work our asses off and it's not a glamorous job. People always think it's glamorous. It's not. You're working at least 12 hours a day. That's just 12 shooting hours a day, not to mention getting up and getting ready for that 12 hours. And then when you get back and setting up for the next day. So it's a lot of work. So you're with each other a lot and the camaraderie that you have. And so we would always get together and we would share the same stupid stories. And it was my cousin and my wife who would be like, what are you guys doing? Are you going? No, we don't want to hang out because they're sick of hearing these same stupid stories, but we love them. Yeah. And they're a lot of fun because, when you're on the road and you're doing these things, just like going to, on a road trip to Istanbul and stopping in Amsterdam, getting to do that. We got to stop in Las Vegas and have some fun on the shoot that we were with and in Telluride. So having those moments, breaking bread with your brothers and sisters, that's huge. When you break that bread and get to
you need it
out.
as well because it's not trying to sort of paint it as being you're not going down a coal mine or you're not in a trench in Ukraine or you're not fighting a war but the hours are long compared to what most people do it's not like working in an office and you're away from home and you're away from family so you need that camaraderie and you need people around you who you're going to get on with and that's and that's the thing I think everyone I worked with in Top Gear I've gone on to do other things with whatever it is you pull someone in because you go fucking hell I'm going in the middle of nowhere in China I want to have people there who I know I can trust and I know that I can have a beer with at the end of the day. And if it's all gone wrong, we can joke about it and go, we'll fix it tomorrow, don't worry. And it is, that camaraderie is so important. And, there's loads of stories we've got from the UK one, but I mean, that, it's become a bit of a famous one, we did this shoot in Norway and it was like minus 28, wind chill. I don't know what it is in Fahrenheit, but it's fucking cold. And the presenters weren't in the best kind of mood, so they weren't playing ball. We had a plane crash.
There was a plane crash at the top of that, wasn't there? This
Yeah.
story comes out quite often, Donny. I was on a shoot the other day, and this story it came out a couple of times. On a couple of weeks shoot, this story came out a couple of times, and yeah, we're sort of going through it, and I was like, oh, there was a plane crash at the start as well, wasn't there? It's like, oh yeah, there was a little plane crash. I mean, thankfully, it was just a little plane crash. No one got hurt. It was just
small,
a little plane
Ian,
crash.
Ian May, one of the camera guys, was in the aircraft, and but and we were meant to be filming on this frozen lake, and they were like, oh, I'm not sure about the depth of the ice at the moment, and we were like, well, we kind of want to get these shots, so yeah, but so they're out testing the ice, and they're like, oh, not really sure about it. Fuck it, it'll be all right. Let's just shoot. And it was one of those shoots where it was kind of like super hectic. The presenters just they were on form on camera, but it was a difficult filming environment. We converted a combine harvester to be a snow clearer, and we're going to clear this road in Norway that's shut most of the year. And they were like, right, we're going to clear it, and we'd set up kind of avalanches to go off, and they weren't going off, but it was arduous. So anyway, we've got all this stuff going on, night shoots and all sorts of stuff. We get to the end of it, everyone's fucked. The crew are fucked, the presenters are fucked. So we get into dinner in the hotel, and we're just going, look, let's just fucking have a proper feed, go to bed, and we'll put this sort of shoot behind us. And so everyone's eating, knackered. And then the guy who owns the resort that we're filming in, this sort of ski resort, gets up and says, guys, we're so happy. Thanks so much for Top Gear for coming here. We've really enjoyed sort of hosting you guys. We've set up the bar just down the street. We'd love you to come and to have a drink. And I can't remember who I was sitting next to the table. There were people just going, I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm a little bit fucking tired, and I'm cold, and I just want to go to bed. Guys, I think we should go and just show face. So anyway, after dinner, everyone sort of wanders down, and we're like, I'm just going to have one, and then I'm going to get out. Cut to 4 hours later, there are fucking most of the camera team have got their shirts off. Ian May is holding 2 bottles of open champagne, spraying them. People are stage diving off of tables. I leave the bar like pretty hammered, and I go out, and some of the crew are turning one of the cars over that we'd used, as a stunt, but like turning it over.
Of course. I'm
like, holy fuck, this is going insane. This is going crazy. And I got into the town, someone smashing the head through a sort of painting. I mean, it was like a kind of, it was like a stag night. So
I'm blaming those Jaeger bombs.
Yeah, so I think, sorry, that's so rewinding a little bit. As we got into the bar, it wasn't a kind of, come in, gentlemen, sit down, what would you like to drink? There's just lines and lines of Jaeger bombs on the bar, and the guy just went, let's go. And everyone was like, whoa.
But do you remember?
Carnage.
It was that one of the medics that worked on there. He wasn't on there for very long. Chap called Clive Stevens. It was his birthday, and so we're like, "Oh, come on, Clive, it's your birthday." He was on the sort of peripheries of it all, and we're like, "Oh, it's your birthday, Clive. Come on, let's go out and have a little drink." So we went out, and we're obviously having that tiny little drink with him. And this sort of guy turns up with sort of goofy teeth, and he had suspenders on. We're like, who's this guy? And he starts acting really strange. We're like, who is this guy? It's not a private party, but we're pretty much the only people in there. And he starts sort of dancing with us. And then he starts sort of moving up to this guy, Clive, and starts dancing with him. And he's like, I've heard it's your birthday. He starts dancing with him. We all look around going, what the hell is this? And basically sort of takes a wig off, he pulls his false teeth out, and it's the mayor of the town that's sort of dancing for our medic guy. All in fancy dress. Like, that's the sort of night it was. But yeah, when Konrad says, we sort of turned the car over, it's one of those, you sort of wake up in the morning, you went out to the car park of the hotel, and then you could see the upturned car. There was one of ours, but yeah, there was I think it was a Golf. That we just
it was
just like trying to turn it over.
We left in the morning. I left in the morning, and I had to take I think one of the producers, I'm not going to say who it was meant to be driving this car with me, and I think maybe Ian May and someone else. Anyway, he was like, "Oh my God, I feel so rough." And I was like, "Okay, I'll drive." And I didn't feel great either. But I think I'd gone snowboarding in the morning just to kind of get rid of the hangover. So anyway, I was driving and I kept having to stop because he was like puking up. And anyway, so he had the key in his pocket. It was one of those, it was in a Range Rover or something. So, it was an automatic key sort of thing. So we got to the airport and I was like, we were late, obviously. So got to the front of the airport and I was like, everyone get out, go and check in, and I'll go and drop this off. So I'd fucking driving around the airport and I was like starting to get the sort of sweats and I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. I was sort of looking for the signs and everything. I was going, oh, fucking hell, I think it's in here. So I drove in, stopped, and it's like zone D or something. And I got out and I went, oh, fuck, it's the wrong place. But then I didn't have the key to restart the car. And the car was parked like kind of almost blocking the rest of the car park. And I didn't have the key. And I was like, oh, should I phone him? And should I phone him to get? And I just, oh, fuck it. I just ran. I just ran off and just jumped on the plane and had a fucking gin and tonic.
That's funny. I have.
It was carnage.
I have, and I want to hear another. I want to hear at least one more story from Top Gear that maybe no one's ever heard of from both of you. But before that, before we go to switch to channel 2, even before that, guys, I just want everyone to know, just in case you didn't know, this is not just an audio podcast. This is also a video podcast. So I have a YouTube channel at Go for Donny, where this will be airing, and I have switched to channel 2 there's there as well. I also have a website, gofordonny.com. And on that website, Jay, we have fun little stickers you can get, little Go for Donny stickers that I have on my mug. Some nice little lovely ones, Go for Donny. I got the hats. I'll have to send you guys some hats. So we have, some blue ones, some black ones, and we have some hoodies, black hoodies. So, you got to push your stuff. But everyone, come check it out. Buy a hat, maybe a sticker, and don't forget to like and subscribe. But back to airport story and the key fob. So funny because Tanner, here's my little side story. We were on a shoot and we couldn't find the key to a car and no one could find it. And everyone's looking everywhere. And then magically appears 2 hours later. And apparently it was in a coin pocket of the presenter. But, you hate those. You're like, fucking hell.
Don't you think that's a massive flaw, isn't it?
Yeah. He didn't, and they don't own up to it either. But
no, of course.
We had a good one years ago where we drove that it was a Land Rover Discovery to the top of the mountain in northern Scotland, in Tongue, I believe it was. And we drove this Land Rover all the way up, got to the very top. And Jeremy was doing it. Clarkson was the presenter on it. Anyway, he had a helicopter to take him off the top of the mountain to fly him back. So he went off in this helicopter with the key in his pocket for the car that was left at the top of the mountain. I sort of got in contact with him and got him back to it. It was too dark to get the car down the mountain. I was like, we just got to leave it here and come back tomorrow to get that car back down the mountain. Yeah, that was a good place to.
That's Konrad. You got any missing keys?
No, only the one, only the one that I left.
Oh my God! So
I don't even know what airport that would have been. Oslo, probably.
My airport story. It wasn't a key left. I did a music video for this rapper Chief Keef. He's a rapper from Chicago, and I got my producer that I was working with said, "Hey, someone's going to come and get some money from you for wardrobe." And I'm thinking it's someone from wardrobe. Okay, so I cut to my producer calls. Like, hey, he's outside. I look out and I see this guy, and I'm like, this doesn't look like a wardrobe guy, and it wasn't. It was Chief Keef's cousin. His name's Blood Money. And under this eye was tattooed blood, and under this eye was tattooed money. And so I gave him the money. He asked for some weed. I'm like, this is your lucky day. I can hook you up. So I went with him, got him his ounce, and he was happy as could be. And then cut to the next morning, he calls me up. He's like, yo, D, I need some more. I'm like, whoa, already? I'm like, okay, you're a rapper. Got him some more. That night we do the shoot. I'm his best friend. I mean, I don't know if you guys know about Chief Keef, but, when they say gangster rap, it's gangster rap. And so Blood Money, he was like, I'm his boy. And then we were supposed to go a month later to go out to Chicago, maybe to film a video out there in South Chicago, where they're from. And like a week before we went, dude got executed in his car. But I know, right? Crazy. But the airport story, because I know that's crazy shit. Like, and of course we didn't go to Chicago to film, but when he was here for the shoot, they got him a rental car, right? So he's at the airport and he calls me. He's like, "Yo, D," he's like, "Someone's got to come in and get my rental car. Someone's got to take it back." And I'm like, "We don't have anyone. What are you talking about? You just got to take it back to the rental car facility." He's like, "Yeah, I can't, man. I left it. It's out at curbside. I just walked inside." And I was like, "You did what?" He's like, "Yeah, oh man, it's too late. The cops are there." I'm like, "Dude, you got to go back out there and move the car. Like, they have your name." He's like, "No way, man. The cops did it. There's no way I'm going out there." I'm like, "Are you shitting me right now?" Dude left. He left the car, got on a plane, went back to Chicago. And then they had to tow the car. And then they found out, obviously the record label that rented for him. So I've never come across, and that was at LAX. I've never come across anyone that was just to walk away from a rental car and just walk inside.
I had a fairly embarrassing airport story on Top Gear. I don't know whether I should tell it actually, but fuck it.
We'll just cut it out.
We did. So I'd never been on a private jet before. So we went we were shooting this thing down in South Africa with this kind of insane military vehicle. It's called a Marauder.
Oh,
massive kind of red. Yeah. Remember, we were in Joburg and then we flew out to Edmonton to do the salt flat. So we kind of put two films together. We were doing the Marauder, which was this military vehicle in Joburg, and then we were flying out to these salt flats to shoot Porsche Racing Gravity. So they were dropping a Beetle from a mile up and racing a mile along the ground. So to get there, they put us in this little private jet. So it was like, fuck, this is awesome. It's absolutely amazing. So we flew out there, we did the shoot. It's great, beautiful salt flats and all the rest of it. And then so on the way back in the private jet, halfway through the flight, I was like, I really need a piss now. So I'll just go to the toilet in the private jet, So go to the back and open these little curtains, and it's just fucking full of camera kit, like literally stacked high. So like pelly cases and fucking people's shit. And I was like, "Where's the toilet?" And I was like, "Oh, it's way back there. You fucking never going to the toilet." I was like, Jesus Christ. So then the panic set in. I was like, what the fuck? So anyway, to cut a long story short, absolutely fucking desperate for the toilet. This private jet lands on the airfield. The door opens. I bolt out down the front and take a piss on the airfield right next to the private jet. So it kind of completely ruined the kind of, sunglasses on, down the steps over to the sort of terminal. No, running down, zip open, whizzing all over the airfield. But yeah. Yeah, no, that was a good shoot actually. That one, Jay. I really enjoyed that.
That was a good shoot. Good. Yeah,
I remember we had a Super Huey, didn't we? So the helicopter was dropping the Beetle was a Huey, and I think that was a bit sketchy. I think because he had to go to 9,500 feet, which is a mile up.
Yeah,
and the air density wasn't very good, so he sort of started losing control of it for a while, and then just had to drop the Beetle. So we got this quite chilling message over the radio, which said he's dropped the Beetle, and we were like, where? Because there was an exclusion zone, and he's like, we don't know. And then everyone was just like, I mean, genuinely just going, holy shit.
Yeah, put your hard hat on.
Yeah. So everyone was a little bit worried about that. And then when the pilot came down, I obviously wanted to go and speak to him about, fucking dropping a Beetle out of the sky, and didn't realize obviously that he had, was under a lot of pressure, and he was sheet white, and he just went, it started penduluming under the helicopter.
Oh no, yeah.
And he just, because the air was so thin, he didn't have enough fucking chop, so he just had to let the thing go. But yeah, so it was a kind of quite a nerve-wracking few minutes with everyone going, there's a big red car dropping out of the sky.
I've never experienced anything like that on my shoots on Top Gear. Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah, we should have had you over for that one, Donny.
Gone awry. I mean, we had barges that didn't blow up when they were supposed to because of wet matches, kind of boring shit like that. But nothing dropping when it wasn't supposed to drop. Yeah,
it was a bit of a worry.
That'd be frightening. What do you think of the funnest country you guys went to? on Top Gear or anything. I mean, I can tell you. I think Iceland. We did a shoot in Iceland, and
Yeah, Iceland's amazing. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, again, this one that we were on together, Jay, was I really loved New Zealand when we did the yacht. So we did the America's Cup boat versus a hire car, and so we shot. You were on my unit, weren't you? On the boat, you were on the boat with me.
I think I did a bit of chopping and changing. I did both units. So I did. I think I was with the car for the actual race, and then the pickup days I did a bit of both.
That's right. Yeah. So that was amazing. We were sort of 11 or 12 hours on an America's Cup boat, chasing an America's Cup boat up the coast of New Zealand, and we landed basically at sunset in this place called the Bay of Ghosts, which is right up in the northern tip of New Zealand. So, and then I think we had a day or maybe even 2 days, Jay, to do pickups after that. So we just were kind of making our way back down the coast, and it's very, very beautiful, unspoiled country, and we hit that amazing bar, the Duke of Marlborough, which was good fun.
Bay of Islands, I think beautiful, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it? I don't know about you guys. What about nowadays? Sorry, Jade, not to cut you off, but nowadays, I go to bed. I go back to my room. I mean, it's a young person's game anymore, and like just what you guys are saying, it seems like after every shoot day, we would all convene for dinner or drinks, and it wouldn't be just a couple of drinks; it'd be a few, and we'd do that rinse and repeat every day. And I just don't know how we did that. And so, anyways, I don't do that much anymore. I go to my room.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, drinking on a school night is a bad idea.
Yeah. I don't think I could do it anymore, just because it'd be tricky. But yeah, I mean, certainly back then. I mean, I don't think in the sort of massive shoots I'd have a couple, but we had some epic rap nights. That one in Norway being one of the bigger ones, but the one in the one in New Zealand was just super pleasant. But yeah, I guess I mean I think it's one of the real perks of what we get to do. Sometimes you do have to just pinch yourself, and I mean I think we were saying before we started recording, Donny, that one of the incredible things about coming over to do Top Gear US is just the locations. We have to, in the UK, you struggle a lot with locations with weather and just how they look. And, obviously there's parts of the UK that are stunning, but there's other bits where, you have to work hard to make them look good. And then coming over, and I think my first or second shoot was up in Alaska. And so I think Alaska comes a close, either a joint first or a close second to New Zealand. Just incredible place.
That's true. Jay, what about you?
Well, I think that's it, isn't it? I mean, just sort of following on from what you're saying about America, you've got so much of your doorstep there. There's so many different landscapes. And the UK is, like you say, it's pretty in places, but it's so densely populated as well. And when you're trying to do those films in a Top Gear world, when we're always doing those up and buys, you don't really want any other cars in it, So all those sort of up and buys that you're doing, you're like, I just got boned by a car, right? Let's reset, do another one. So, you can waste a lot of time doing that in the UK. There's so much space in the US, but I would have to say my favourite place was Botswana. I know it's probably a bit cliche because they just went back and they did the grand tour there, didn't they, to sort of finish it off? But that was a really good shoot actually, and I was actually camera assisting then. But yeah, it was just a beautiful place to be. And I remember, we had helicopters on that. And I actually remember we spoke to the director, James Bryce was directing that. I'd be like, James, can I go? I'm not really doing, I'm just assisting and we're just going from A to B. I'm not really doing much. Can I go up in the chopper? And he was like, well, yeah, you may as well go. We're literally just traveling. So sort of we'd go up in the chopper and I've got these amazing videos. I mean, shot on a really small little stills camera, the pixel quality is probably similar to what you're seeing now with me. But yeah, and just,
surely it's better than that, Jay. Come on.
Oh, I don't know. You've got to remember I shot it as well. So yeah, just sort of following these ostriches and through like the Okavango and these elephants. I mean, it's just an amazing place to be. Really stunning. But I do remember that we turned up and we had a really amazing company that was setting up all the tents for us. and they would go ahead and, you know, it's glamping basically across Botswana, which was absolutely stunning. And we turned up on the first night, and they got this beautiful ring of chairs around this fire, and they're making us this beautiful meal that we're eating literally in the middle of nowhere. Absolutely stunning time. And I feel like there's quite a few boozy stories on this podcast already. But anyway, we start having a drink. We're like, this is amazing. Come on, we've got to have a couple of beers. And we have a couple of beers, and then wine starts flowing, and we're having these few drinks. And we used to drink more, you know, a lot more back in the day than we do now. Maybe that's just because we're older, maybe because I don't know who was in charge at the time. But we had a big night that night, and I do remember us, and we all ended up sort of, let's all have a disco, let's all have a disco, la la la, just sort of dancing around this fire, getting really drunk. Anyway, we get up in the morning, and the facilities company that are providing all the camping and all the food and all the booze, they're like, guys, that booze was going to last 2 weeks. You drank it all last. No. What are we going to do for the next couple of weeks? And then Andy Willman, who's in charge, he's like, all right, let me figure this out, guys, because, yeah, that can't happen. That is a real problem. We've got to figure this out. Basically, the helicopter was coming in to do some filming, so he got in touch with the helicopter company and said, you need to fill that helicopter up with booze before you fly out and come and see us. So we helicoptered more wine into the middle of Botswana so we could survive 2 weeks, basically. Yeah, that was a good trip.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that you did that. Now you're talking about your fixing team that did that for you, because we also had, you know, wherever you went, you had fixing teams, and we did a journey through Moab, from Navajo Nation to Moab. Probably one of my favorite shoots, most spiritual, amazing things. And so, you know, just like you said, we would be working while they would bounce ahead to set up the camp and tents and everything, and have dinner for you. And they did, and we had some steak dinner. And I remember it was a Senior story, and Senior was eating fish at that time, pescatarian. Is it pescatarian? And he, they didn't have it. Someone ate it, and so he got a little upset and stormed off to the back of his Jeep. And so I just went back to go check on him, and you know, he had his little boombox, and he had his shirt off, you know, because it's Moab and it's hot. And I was like, "What are you doing, dude? Like, why do you get your fucking shirt off?" He's like, "It's hot." I'm like, "Yeah, it's hot." I'm like, all right, let me try it. So I took my shirt off. I'm like, oh, it's kind of nice. And so we literally walked out about another 50 yards from his Jeep and put a light down, a bucket, and I think a little boombox, I think. And we were just standing there, and then Graham Steele comes up. He's like, what are you wankers doing, you know? Why do you get your shirts off? Like, it's hot. Try it. And so he took his shirt off. And then one by one, the whole crew, except for maybe 4 people, you know, our mechanics, I'm sorry, 5. Our mechanics, Adam, one of the presenters, and Greg and Roche, our POV specialty cameras team. They didn't partake. Everyone else came out to that fire pit. One woman, she did not take her top off, obviously. And we literally, just like Jay, we were drunk, and we danced around with our shirts off around a light in a fucking boombox in the middle of the desert, and had the best time. I mean, just a bunch of jackholes, you know, blowing off some steam. But I don't know if it's tribal or what, but when you were saying that, I'm like, that's fucking weird. I mean, is that what us dudes do, and we get together out in the desert area around fire?
Yeah, well, you're all good friends, aren't you? You've thrown a bit of alcohol into that mix, and, you know, there you go.
Doesn't take much, does it?
No, and also, you know, you were saying earlier, you know, you work long hours, you work hard, you know, it's like, right, you work hard, play hard. There's always a bit of a release, right?
Yeah. And I think the whole thing, because, you know, I think that's a great thing about Top Gear, both, you know, whatever one it is, whether it's, you know, UK, US, Australia, whatever, it's, you know, it's fun. It's about people having fun. It's about laughter and entertainment, and, you know, there's enough serious stuff. So, you know, that's what's great about the show. And I think a lot of the fun behind the scenes reflects on screen, you know, and I think that's a big part of it. You know, and even if the presenters are being fucking tricky or whatever, as long as everyone else has sort of got each other's back, it works.
I think it totally works. And we all are exactly, have each other's back. We're working for each other. We're looking out for each other. And that wheel is turning. All those cogs are working really well. Even if the presenters, like you said, if they're being, you know, not the kindest on that day, or if they're nailing their shit, it doesn't matter. As long as we're all in tune, things happen. So
I mean,
like that.
the US presenters were fucking awesome. I thought they were just so good to work with, and such nice guys. Just to sort of have a beer with at the end of the day, and they're so funny as well. I mean, one of my big regrets, from because obviously as I say, I only did 5 or 6 films, but how funny they were off camera. If you caught a little bit more of that, of them, of that humor, oh my God, the show would have been 50% better, because they were so funny.
Oh, they take the piss out of each other. I love it. I mean, and they're really nice guys. I mean, they've all 3 have done my podcast. Please check them out. They're all going to come back. I'm holding them to it. They're going to come back and I'll do it at the same time. I was in Guyana on a shoot at a bar, and I was talking to this guy about what I was doing down there. I was doing Naked and Afraid, of course. And, but we started talking about Top Gear, and it's one of his favorite shows. And all of a sudden, I'm like, well, you know what? Let me see if I can get one of these guys to FaceTime. And so I think it was Tanner first, and Tanner answered. And next thing you knew, I had like literally 20 people. I didn't know where they came from because there were only 10 people in the bar before, but they were around me trying to say I had Tanner on FaceTime. And then after that, they slammed down a bottle of Eldorado rum, like 15 year, or 18 year. And I'm like, wow, this is great. I'm like, let me try someone else. So I tried Rutledge. He wasn't available. And then Adam was available, and he answered. And 30 guys around me trying to say hi to Adam. And then after that, they threw another bottle, 22-year rum. I'm like, this is the best. But that's what kind of guys they are, where they'll take your call. They might be busy, and they are busy, and you might have to chase them down a little, but they're accessible, and they're very sweet, and just, I don't know, the coolest guys, friends. Yeah,
I found them great to work with. I found it was so easy, and just, it was really, really, really good fun.
God, I can't thank you guys enough for coming on and sharing a few more stories. Don't forget to come to Switchy Channel 2, you guys. Come check it out. That's where we're going to get to know these guys a little bit better, and hear what they're doing and where they're going, and maybe ask them a few more fun questions. So, Jay, anything else to add, man? I mean, I can't thank you guys enough for coming on. I mean, hopefully you guys had a good time, and, more people want to listen, and maybe some more of your cohorts over there will want to come on and talk about some of the shenanigans that we had.
Yeah. There's plenty of stories. It's fun, isn't it? You just chat away, and it's just the ones that pop into your head. I mean, there's so many that I obviously sent you over some pictures, and that's just to sort of prompt us. That story, or what was that? What were you doing there? Even you can just explain something. So there's so many stories. And it's nice. It's nice to have a catch up. It's nice to chat about it, actually, and and reminisce. I think someone was saying earlier. We've touched on it a couple of times. The camaraderie. It's Top Gear UK has now stopped for a few years, and it's funny. You go onto jobs and you see people there that oh, nice to see you again. Shake their hand, and then you see someone that was on the Top Gear team, and you're like, oh, come here, it's a proper hug. It's a proper, you don't get a handshake, you get a hug, because you go through so much. So it's really nice to reminisce. Really nice.
Yeah, it feels good. I mean, because I just go back to why I started this podcast. Forgive me, my lovely wife. That was one of the best days of my life when we got married, of course. But some of the other best days of my life came on working on Top Gear. I mean, stupid shit. I got to drift a 35-foot motorhome around a dirt track in North Carolina. Just stupid fun. You're pinching yourself like, what the hell am I doing? So
that's the best thing. I mean, I think that you're hitting on the head there, I think, Donny, is that some moments when you step back, like step away from the crew for a minute, and you had to take a call from an uncle or a grandmother and explain exactly what you do. Yeah, well, I've just got these guys driving around in a circle, towing caravans, smashing into each other. You think, what? What the fuck you do? Well, it's my job. It's a fucking job, is it? Yeah, I mean, it's ludicrous, isn't it? When you step back from it. But when you're in it, you're like, this is the funniest shit, and it's great fun. When you step back, you just go, this is just ludicrous. It's crazy. And that's part of the allure for me.
And that was hard, who was it? I forget who I talked to. We were talking about that, about being on set, and what we're doing is amazing. And you can't take a moment to like, enjoy it like people do, because, Jay, you're looking down the pike, like you're getting your shot, I'm thinking about what's happening next and what's in the moment. So you don't have a chance to really like, I don't know, drink it all in until it's after the fact, I think, when you're just like a car is ripping past you, like 5 feet away from you, blowing smoke at you. Just, you have to really, I don't know, think about it after the fact. And when you're in the moment, you just don't have time to do it.
Oh, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know.
I think I that one, I don't know whether you were on it, Jay, but when we did the E-Type tribute on the cliffs of Dover, we had 500 E-Types in the shape of an E. We had 2 Spitfires in the air. We had Royal Navy parachutists. We had a full 200 sort of people marching band. We had the Marines dropping a Union Jack off the side of the cliffs. So we had an air. We had first ADE, but then we had an air marshal guy, and then 2 radios. Just fucking all of this is going on, and you only get a couple of. It's like, Donny, you only get a couple of shots at that stuff to coordinate it all to happen at the right time. And Jeremy's walking along doing this fucking diatribe about how incredible the E-Type is. And so in that, whatever it is, 5 minutes, it's just you're in this sort of hyper-focused state, and you just still don't know whether it's worked, because you can't look in at every monitor of what's going on because there's so much shit going on. I remember I'd finished that and walked away from it. I was walking down, and his car pulled up, and it's this guy who runs a bar, a fucking amazing guy, runs an incredible bar in London called the Betsy Trotwood. And he pulled up and he was like, "Hey, Konrad, what the fuck are you doing?" I was like, "Oh my God, I've got no clue. I've just been doing," and I was like, if I try to explain it to him, either one, he's going to go bullshit, or 2, he's just going to go, what the fuck? So I just went, I've just been filming some shit. I'm just going to go and lie down for a minute. And you almost can't explain it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, sweet mate, see you later. And he drove off. It's kind of weird.
It is, until after the fact. Do you think about it, or you look at it, you look what you did, and you're like, oh, fuck, like that's pretty cool. Yeah, but in the moment it's different. Well, you guys, I can't thank you enough. We're going to have to switch over to channel 2, because I have so many things I want to ask you guys and talk about. Once again, guys, please like and subscribe. Come check out my channel at Go for Donny on YouTube. And this will be an audio podcast on every podcast platform out there, from Amazon to Apple Podcasts to Spotify and iHeartRadio. And don't forget to check out my website, gofordonny.com, to get some of that swag. And guys, just remember what my mother-in-law always says, hashtag HTFU. HTFU. Hotten the F up. And we can talk more about that on Twitchy Channel 2. Konrad, Jay, thank you, gentlemen. I can't thank you enough, man. Good seeing you guys.
Thanks, Donny. That was awesome. Thanks, mate.
Right on. Cheers, guys.
Production for Donny.
Go for Donny. Locations for Donny. Go for Donny.
Habitat for Donny.
Go for Donny. Hey Donny, what the hell are they doing?